and welcome to Hero Power. This is episode 87, and as always, I am your host, Avantes. And as always, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Zeroshio.
Hey, what is up, gang?
And Versika.
Oh, goodness. I have a feeling it's going to be a packed show.
Yes, there is much to talk about. Very, very, very much. Like, we were struggling this weekend to fill the show notes, and then today happened, and now we're actually having to cut stuff from the show.
It didn't look like Zeroshio was struggling to fill the show notes.
I can always find something to talk about. Come on now.
I was like, I saw those show notes. They were already 2 pages long before today happened.
Yeah, so, all
I'm
right.
just doing my job.
Yeah, and doing it fairly well, it would seem. So, before we get into everything, which one of you wants to talk about our friends over at Viforce tonight?
It's Zeroshio's week this week. I have something special planned for next week.
All right.
Obviously, every week we talk about Viforce. Viforce Gaming makes some awesome computers. I can just tell you by experience, I'm loving my machine. I have started downloading games from Steam because Steam just had their summer sale. So I just loaded up my computer with Steam games. I'm playing pretty much everything. I got some of these things that run on their own. So I'm running simultaneous games at the same time. I'm streaming. I'm listening to music. Viforce makes an awesome computer. I've looked up the specs on my computer and I thought, how much are people paying for this kind of experience? And at other big custom game websites, I'm looking upwards of $1,300 with shipping and everything. And they also want me to pay for additional support. Well, you get all that from Viforce Gaming, and my system is the Momentum, and it's the $800 system. Of course, you can adjust that based on any upgrades, customizations you want to do. You can even downgrade a few things you don't want. If you don't need a DVD drive or something like that, they don't mind taking that off and not charging you for that. So go over to ViforceGaming.com, or you can go to HeroPowerHS.com, click on the link to Viforce, and it'll take you right there. And get your quote today. It's definitely worth it. And I'll talk about more details on what you can get over at ViforceGaming.com on the second half of the show.
All right. So, like we said, we've got a lot to talk about. First thing we want to talk about is you guys. We want to talk about all of you, our listeners, our viewers, because something pretty awesome happened for us this week. And that is, we achieved Twitch affiliateship. Now, this is something we've been working on and working towards for a while. And without all of you just being there and supporting us by showing up and hanging out in chat and listening to the show, that would have never happened. So, as you guys can see, we're really excited about it. We now have a fancy new sub button up here in the top corner. And, if you've got your free Twitch Prime subscription, you can throw it at us. Now, one of the things we get as being a Twitch affiliate is we now have our very own Twitch emote.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where you guys come in. Between now and the show next Wednesday, we're looking for you guys to give us ideas for what you want our Twitch emote to be. So send us an email at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com with the subject line Twitch emote, and tell us what you think our Twitch emote should be. This is all for you guys because you helped us get here. So, again, thank you from the bottoms of our hearts. We love you guys. We do this every week for you. So,
and depending how many submissions we get, if we get quite a few submissions, we'll take the top few submissions we find, and we will poll our patrons over in our Discord if you're not in our Discord and want to be, you can just be a patron, just over at patreon.com/hero power, and join us in that wonderful community, and we'll go ahead and poll our Discord if we have enough options and see which one that our community wants us to have.
That's right. All right. So, other news this past weekend, we talked about this a little bit on the show last week, but Blizzard has rolled out the new Fireside Gathering beta, including the new Fireside Tavern Brawls. So, this past weekend, we had 2 events, one in Chattanooga, one in Knoxville, and we kind of wanted to get it out there and let people check it out, play around with it. And both Zeroshio was at the event in Chattanooga, Versika was at the event in Knoxville. I'm going to throw it to Zeroshio first. What were your initial thoughts on the way you now log in and see the Fireside Gathering, and your thoughts on the new Fireside Tavern Brawl?
I loved it. I actually got the pleasure of sitting with you and helping decide what our layout would look out for our specific Fireside Tavern. And it was really neat to be able to sit with you and look over your shoulder and pick the diagrams and the cool little display you got to individualize our Fireside Gathering. That was a lot of fun. The Fireside Tavern Brawl was a lot of fun. I got to play 2 games with Brad and Claire, and we had a lot of fun. It was really cool to get in there. The Fireside Tavern Brawl was Nefarian, and you work together to bring Nefarian down from 200 health to 0 and do either the most amount of damage or do it in the least amount of turns. And it was really neat to be able to sit right across with somebody and discuss your plays out. Hey, don't play this. Make sure you play this. I'm going to do this so you can do this. And it really kind of brought us together. We did have a new attendee of our Fireside Gathering, Claire, who seemed a little timid when she first showed up to play in our small tournament. And then as the day went on, because we were able to interact, not just Claire, but everybody started just sitting all at the same table and talking to each other and telling each other about our experiences and talking about the Tavern Brawl. It just brought the Fireside Gathering even closer together than it normally was. That store is rather large down at Epicos in Hickson, and a big shout out to Joe over at Epicos for hosting for us. And we could have used that entire place if we wanted to, but they chose to all huddle around one table so we could have a good community atmosphere, and I enjoyed it a lot.
All right, awesome. So, Versika, the other event we had was kind of similar, but each venue has its own quirks. Why don't you tell us about your experience this weekend?
I mean, it's pretty much the same as what Zeroshio experienced. We came in, the tavern popped right up as long as you were on the network, and you joined the tavern. You immediately saw the people that were also in the tavern. It made it very easy to pick who to play against, especially when we were doing our small tournament. And then when we got into the Tavern Brawl, I played 3 games, I think. 1 with you and 2 with Hathrel. And I can say I'm glad that main tank isn't a card, because it would be terrifying.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, that was pretty much it. I feel like I'd seen something like the Nefarian before, and then I was just like, but that can't be right because we didn't do this. But I remember in one of our Tavern Hero tournaments, it was the night of our first Tavern Hero tournament, I think. We paired up and did the Blingtron, and so that was where I kind of got that same feeling. But it was fun. We had a good time, and I think I think they're onto something as far as keeping people in the same place. I will say though that at least from our experience, people wanted to be on that network. They wanted to be in that tavern. So we had more people that kind of left the LTE and because it was only on one band of the router, it did bog down the connection a little bit. So I think that's something that something that they can work on, but it's only in beta, and so if you were at a tavern event this weekend that also had this, don't fret the if you had any connection issues, because they're still very much just in the beginning stages of getting this thing worked out.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And guys, I've told you for a year now that good things are coming, and we're finally starting to see the fruits of that labor with these rollouts. There's going to be even better stuff coming down the line. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started doing fireside gatherings, it was me and Versika and my son and our friend Vinyl over at These Are Video Games. If you guys haven't met him yet, we're doing Heroes runs with him on Thursday nights. But it was just really the four of us. Maybe a couple others would occasionally come in, and we would just play Hearthstone for fun. For the first time in a long time, I had that feeling again this weekend. Our firesides had evolved from hanging out, having fun, theory crafting, and talking about Hearthstone to working on and doing tournaments. We were playing mini tournaments, and then we started hosting Tavern Hero qualifiers, and it became more and more like work. And this past weekend, doing these fireside brawls and having these fireside gatherings in the tavern was the most fun I've had in a long, long time. And it really fired me up to want to do some more just casual fireside gatherings in our area.
I did have a question for you guys about the Tavern Brawl. We didn't have it at our location down in Chattanooga, but did you all have any new players come in at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's my question. I know with Tavern Brawl, you can't do the Tavern Brawl until you have total character level up to 20. Do we know if the Fireside specific one is not restricted?
No, because both of the new people that came to our Tavern Brawl had both. They didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
Getting into regular Tavern Brawl, so there would be no
barrier
to entry for the Fireside for them.
Well, so I know that it was brought up on Legend of the Innkeeper last night, and that I wasn't sure of, because that's not something we tested either. Right. Next time we do this, we may want to make a new account right there and see. I know you'll probably have to still go through the tutorial, but if that's the case, that means that Blizzard is definitely stepping up and working on that new player experience alongside the fireside gatherings. I think it's tremendous, the difference that we're seeing in some of these fireside gatherings from 2 years ago, and I think it's just going to keep getting better. I know there's been a lot of people complaining in the past about the community aspect of Hearthstone. Some of these things take time to roll out. Just have faith in Blizzard, and they'll make the changes needed to make the community better, and they've already done it.
Exactly, yeah. All right, so let's move on to our next topic, which is a big one. So this past, what was it, late last week, I guess, Ben Brode made an announcement via Reddit, I guess, or I forget exactly how he made the announcement, but
he made a video and
that's right,
posted it to Twitter.
Yeah,
it was the famous staircase at the Brode Mansion.
Yeah, so there are some big changes coming, starting with the release of the next set concerning pack opening. So if you haven't already heard, basically what's going to happen is you will no longer open duplicate legendaries from a set. So if you open 50 packs and you pull 3 legendaries, they are guaranteed to be 3 different legendaries. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this is huge.
Well, this guarantees that in 50 packs, Avanti's is going to have every legendary in the set. It's going to be great.
That's not what that guarantees.
I don't know. I think me and Versika would disagree. I think this is a great change. I've gotten so many duplicate legendaries that I just didn't want. Now, the benefit of this is you will also not feel so bad crafting a legendary. In the past, if you crafted a legendary 2 weeks later, you open that same legendary, you kind of kick yourself. But now you know that you will not open those legendaries. Now it also means if there's any what people call trash legendaries, you may not want to disenchant them because they're gonna actually having those will make it higher chance that you'll get the legendaries that you want in the future.
Exactly. Rasika, you got anything you want to add?
No, actually, I really like this. Being one of the players that, unlike you, who tend to open 8 legendaries in your first 50 packs, mine tend to be a little further apart. And out of this last set, I think I opened 100 packs in the first week. I pulled duplicate quest of Druid, Rogue, Warrior, and then I had another duplicate legendary. So out of my total 7 legendaries, I ended up netting 8 legendaries, and I netted 4. It was almost exactly half. I don't know. I've got it written down, but I pulled 3 duplicates for sure. I think they were all quests actually. So 3 duplicate quests, which was really bad because I wanted the quests. I would have been happy pulling 6 quests. I mean, that's 6 out of 9. I would have been thrilled to have 6 of the 9 class quests right off the bat. But to pull 3 and then to pull 3 duplicates, it wasn't in a row, but I mean, still, it's like, oh look, there's the warrior quest. Oh look, there's the rogue quest. Oh look, there's the druid quest. I really like this, and then it's just like druid again, warrior again. By the time I opened the second warrior quest, I was just like, oh, I see how this is going to go, because I had flashbacks to Mean Streets where you open that day and you just get duplicate legendaries all over the place. Now they fixed that and they made it right. But I mean, in this one, I felt like there were more impactful legendaries, and that made it harder to get the legendaries. And it really fed into that group of people that believe that the only way you can be successful at Hearthstone is pay to play.
Yeah. I know in GVG, I think it was GVG, out of my first 9 legendaries, 7 of them were Gazrella.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I opened 3 Cho'Galls out of Whisper, so.
And 1 was golden.
But.
So now that's my question. So that's my other question. So we were talking about duplicate legendaries. Does that mean that if you hold on to a standard legendary that you can't open a golden of that legendary?
There hasn't been full clarification, but from what I've read on Reddit, yes, I went to Reddit, it seems as if that is the case. And a lot of people are complaining about that, but it also means that if you get a golden legendary, you're also not going to open a regular legendary. You may have better value in crafting the goldens if you get them. And furthermore, once you get all the legendaries in the set, you then can start opening duplicates. And then, of course, the chance of getting goldens. Yeah. But from the way it's written, I don't believe they're on separate timers.
But you see, we're not all Avantis.
Yeah.
So for most of us, we never opened all the legendaries in a set.
For those of you that are not Avantis, there's another change we need to talk about with this. And that is, you are now guaranteed to open a legendary in the first 10 packs of a new set.
Now, to clarify, of a new set.
Correct. And on Twitter, the official @Play Hearthstone account verified that it will only be active for packs that you have never opened, or sets that you've never opened a pack out of. So what this means for new players is that if you have a new account or you're new to Hearthstone, you're guaranteed a legendary in your first 10 packs of Classic, your first 10 packs of Mean Streets, your first 10 packs of Whispers, whatever. That is huge
really
for
is.
new players.
Oh, yeah.
but it's also huge for our, for everybody else, like our listener Boyd, who opened like 50 packs and didn't pull a legendary.
He's in the chat. He's saying, I'm over it. Some people don't forget, though. And you have to bring it up. It's
you're over it. You're over it.
Monster.
Well, see, once you get your 10, you go back to the regular unofficial pity timer. So somebody brought up in chat that out of 50 packs of pre-order, you should be guaranteed 2 legendaries. So 1 out of the first 10 and 1 out of the next 40. And now that's unofficial. That's not been confirmed by Blizzard, but from the math that some sources have created, that would be accurate.
See, when I hear her guaranteed 1 legendary in the first 10 packs, I hear Avanti's is guaranteed 3 legendaries in the first 10 packs.
He'll get to his 10th pack and not have a legendary, and then he'll get 3 in that 1 pack.
You guys are just trying to guarantee I don't open anything.
Jono in chat said, isn't the average 1 legendary per 20 packs roughly? And that actually is correct if you get 20 packs at one time. For some reason, buying 20 packs at one time increases your chance of getting a legendary versus
I don't know if that's accurate.
Opening 20 individual packs. And I saw that math somewhere. I've also, as someone who has bought Battle.net cards and opened 20 packs and almost always gets a legendary out of those 20 packs versus opening packs with gold, which I tend to do one at a time, it does appear, at least to me, that more often than not I get a legendary out of the 20 packs I open at once versus over time.
I know the pity timer study that some individual did with like a lot of resources said that you're guaranteed 1 legendary out of 40 packs, but at 30 packs it seems to increase your chance to 75%, and it scales. So I think that's why the average settles, and I've heard that the average is 30, I've heard the average is 20, I've heard it's 25, but I'm sure it's somewhere in that range.
I want to talk one other thing because B. Bollinger in our chat says, holy cow, this is great news. I've only opened Classic Ungoro as a newish player.
Nice.
He says, Whispers of the Old Gods, Main Streets, and the new expansions, first 10 packs, get a legendary. Yay. Now, that's true, but you have to wait.
Don't open them.
Don't do it now. You need to wait until the next expansion launches, and this change goes into effect. If you open them now, you're probably not going to get a legendary in the first 10 packs. So, hold off if you can. Stick to what you've already opened, Classic and Ungoro, and then when the next set comes out, then you can go hog wild and bust some packs.
And on that same topic, I'm holding all of my packs that I get. I'm saving all my gold for the next set anyways, but when I get any packs from Spectate or from Tavern Brawl, I'm not opening them, because the other addition, other than the legendaries, is you will never open more copies of any card in a pack than you can use in a single deck. That means, obviously, if you get 2 legendaries, they won't be the same legendary.
Yeah, that means Versika won't open 4 Vine Cleavers.
If you get a specific...
9.
In 4 in 1 pack,
If you get a specific card...
remember in Discord, I changed my portrait to the Grimes Street, whatever the female Tauren cow thing is, because when I opened Mean Streets, like, I had 35, something like that.
So well, in the defense of Mean Streets, Mean Streets had a bug with the pack opening. So
no, this was even after.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I know it's happened to me where I've gotten 3 of the same card, but non-legendaries, you won't get more than 2 in a pack because you can have 2 in a deck. Now, there is one other change, one other thing that he announced that actually isn't, it's been released as of the patch this past Tuesday, and they've increased the packs for Ungoro purchases by 30%.
Okay, so see, I feel like this was late.
I think it feels like it's late, but this is my thought on the matter. You always have some kind of cash dump, whether it's in-game gold or it's money, right before the release of the reveal of a new set. Last time they did it, it was they had the heroic tavern brawl, so
Which I
everybody
heard is
would dump,
coming again soon.
so everybody would
It's
dump their
rumored.
gold. I wouldn't be surprised if they do another one so people dump their gold. And their thoughts are if we give a big discount on Angoro packs, people are going to rush out to buy Angoro packs, especially knowing they don't open them until this new set comes out. They have a chance of getting the legendaries and so forth. Secondly, those same people that would go out and buy Angoro packs now will likely also buy the bundles for the new set that's coming out. So they're not really going to lose any revenue there. If there are some of the community that's going to choose one or the other. Either way, they're getting their money. So I think this is just a strategic. This is something you see almost every time a set's about to come out. They do some kind of sale or cash dump or gold dump, so that you dump all your resources and then you have to reinvest when a new set comes out. It's just good marketing.
I'm not disagreeing, and I completely 100% agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is, if you are limited in your ability to purchase cards, this is something that you should probably hold off on.
Yeah.
I
Because
agree.
the new set will be around the corner.
Yeah.
I agree that I would say that. Obviously, this when it comes to Blizzard, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. Whether they spend their money on Angoro packs or spend their money on the new set, it doesn't matter to them as long as you spend your money. So this is just good marketing. I'm personally not going to buy Angoro packs because I'm kind of cash starved at the moment. I'll be lucky if I can get the new set bundle, but I will definitely be buying lots of packs of the new set with gold.
All right, so that brings us to our next topic. So if you are listening to this via our audio download, tomorrow, Friday, June the 30th, if you're watching live, that's day after tomorrow, at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, so 11, 12, 1:30 Eastern, there is going to be a live Hearthstone Q&A. They are going to be talking about these changes that we are talking about and some upcoming balance changes. So that will be on the twitch.tv/Play Hearthstone channel. You can also follow them on Twitter at Play Hearthstone to be alerted when they go live. But one of the big balance changes they're going to be talking about on that live stream is the upcoming change to the rogue quest, the Caverns Below. So
And here we
hold
go.
on to your butts.
So
because here comes the discussion. Chat's gonna blow up.
the Caverns Below now reads quest: play 5 minions with the same name, reward Crystal Core. So it's gone up from having to play 4 minions to having to play 5.
Here it comes.
So
Salt, fill in the chat. PJ Salt, good job, Ink.
Versika, I'm going to let you start because I know we've talked about this. You've got your thoughts in order. You've got a really good conversation. Take off.
Okay, so I want to start out by saying that I don't think this nerf was the right call. And the reason that I think that is, number one, most of the time when I play Quest Rogue, and I want to preface this by saying that I lost to it 3 games in a row in a last hero standing event this weekend. I never made it to turn 7. 3 games in a row, a control deck, a tempo deck, and an aggro deck, and I never made it to turn 7. So it's ridiculously consistent, but I don't think changing it from 4 to 5 is the right call. And I'll go ahead and say my first part, and then I'll get into my second part. First part, most of the time after the quest is completed, they shadow step a Patches or a South Sea deckhand anyway. So the 5th one is just going to happen right on top of the other one. It may delay it a turn, but if they prep into the quest, it's probably still going to happen on the same turn anyway. But the reason that I don't think it was necessary, and the reason why I don't think it's the right direction, was you're punishing the players who enjoy this deck in basically consoling a perceived oppressive deck. You did so by not addressing the problem. The problem isn't the rogue quest. The problem is the rogue quest does 30 points of unstoppable damage in one turn. So the problem then lies in the uninterruptible. You can't respond to it as the opposing player. So they're doing this with one casting cost 5/5s that can attack the turn they come into play. They may have one or two minions left on the table, but honestly, you can't do anything about the minions that are bouncing back into the hand. So chances are you've probably already taken care of the minions that are on the board. If not, then you probably deserve to lose that game. I'm just being honest. But the problem is that these minions go onto the board and you can't interact with them in any way, which is, in my opinion, we've talked about this before, a fundamental flaw in Hearthstone that makes the charge mechanic way too powerful, in my opinion. But it actually goes further than that. The charge mechanic is a symptom of a culture that has evolved in Hearthstone. And that culture is quantity over quality. Now, in other games, when you are ranking through the ladder system, you do so based on wins, and your quality of wins increase your experience, or how badly you lose, or if you lose, you see an experience decrease in that. I feel like the star system of ranking up through the ladder in Hearthstone is not a very good representation of that system. In fact, I would say it's probably the most dumbed down version of that system. I actually really like the system in Heroes of the Storm when you're trying to climb the ladder in Heroes of the Storm. I like the experience bar. I like how if it's a longer game and you had to play longer, you were rewarded with getting more experience and more points. If the person you were playing against was a better opponent, you're rewarded with more experience and more points. Those types of things I feel like reward quality of play over quantity of play. So if you have a deck in the meta that is consistently taking out people on turn 6 and 7, you are basically saying that all cards casting cost 7 or greater pretty much are unimportant. Because widely considered, the best way to counter Quest Rogue is to simply kill it before it kills you, which squishes the Hearthstone games into games ending before turn 6. Why? Well, because you have to play so many games to get to Legend, which is the mark that everybody judges the ability level of a Hearthstone player. So it rewards that quantity over quality. So the more games you win, the more games you play, the better chance you have of getting to Legend, whether you have a high win rate or whether you have a 51% win rate. It's all about how many games you can play versus how you play your games. Now, in order for Hearthstone to have a healthy meta, all decks need to be able to coexist in a balanced setting. Well, right now, control isn't balanced because Questing Rogue destroys control before it ever gets to turn 7. And I'm saying turn 7. I've actually lost to Quest Rogue on turn 4. I've also beaten Quest Rogue on turn 10 because they didn't get their nuts. I'm saying, the problem isn't Quest Rogue. The problem is Quest Rogue deals 30 points of damage in one turn. The problem with that is because of Charge. Charge is running rampant in Hearthstone because players enjoy Charge, because Charge allows them to end games faster, hence more games, hence higher climbing the ladder. And it's a symptom of a larger issue, and that larger issue is that they have not tackled the amount of games required to reach what most players, now whether it's correct or not, what most players consider a good skill level in Hearthstone, and that is Legend. So unless you get Legend, you're not a good player. Some players won't watch you stream. Some players won't even talk to you at a tournament unless you're rocking a Ledger card back. But we've had this discussion before. Is that a representation of the player you are? I've seen people pilot Quest Rogue after not getting the nuts draw and have to win on 9 and 10. To me, that is someone that knows how to play that deck well.
Oh yeah.
You know, but if the deck draws in and you never have to interact with your opponent and you kill them on turn 6, it feels bad. It's not fun to play against. And I mean, totally honest, one of the reasons I don't play on the ladder as much as I used to is I don't want to play against Quest Rogue. Not because I don't want to beat it, because I don't want to play the decks that you have to play to beat it. And then I don't want to have to play the same game over and over because Quest Rogue isn't interacting with me. It's like playing solitaire. You're playing cards on the table and you're only playing against yourself. Some people like that style of deck, and you shouldn't punish them for liking that style of deck. That's how they want to play. But like I said, the problem is that it wins on one turn. You look at all the major nerfs in Hearthstone since it went live. Leroy nerf. Why was Leroy nerfed? Because he cost too little, and rogues were using him with Shadow Step to get the mana reduction, and they were able to burst opponents down in one turn. The second big nerf, Force of Nature, Savage Roar. Why were people up in arms about Force of Nature, Savage Roar? Because you did
awesome.
You did at least 18 points of uninterrupted damage in one turn.
It was awesome.
Treants had charge.
Yeah.
You look at Patron Warrior. The actual patron mechanic, it wasn't that it was broken. It was that they got charged and you got to do how many points of damage in one turn without the ability for interaction? 30 points of damage.
Hence the Warsong Commander nerf.
Exactly.
Right. And then what happened when Warsong Commander was nerfed? The deck pretty much died.
It had to. It did change into more of a mid-rangey control-y style, but yes, that style of deck died.
Tempo.
Yeah. And how many people stopped playing it?
A lot.
I would say the majority.
Yeah.
Now, the people that could play it well, a lot of them were still very successful with it. But it was the Warsong Commander that made the deck oppressive. Then you look at OTK Warrior. Why was OTK Warrior nerfed?
The charge.
Because Raging Worgen charged, and you couldn't interact with it after it was played. You couldn't stop it, and that's the inherent problem. It's not that Quest Rogue is an oppressive deck. It's that charge makes it an oppressive deck, and the reason charged minions are in there is so they can kill people on turn 6 or 7, which creates 10-minute Hearthstone games, which for some people, myself included, that's not fun. If I want to play a 10-minute game, I'll whip out Bejeweled.
Piggybacking on a previous solution you've mentioned on the show before, Versika, is what if they change charge to may attack a minion this turn, just like the Devilsaur has it baked into their battle cry? Do you think that would change things?
I think it would make the game healthier, but I think it would kill Quest Rogue. I think the people that are playing Quest Rogue now play it because they want to charge their opponents down for 30 points of damage in one turn. I actually understand that on turn 10. On turn 10, I'm okay with it. You have survived 10 rounds, and you're going to take me down from 30 to 0, and I've not killed you, or I have not prepped the board in order to swing that into my favor. I'm okay with it. But at least I got to play. Like, the cards in my deck, by the time I get to turn 10, that means that I have drawn at least 13 cards in my deck. I got at least my 3 in my opening hand, and then I've drawn at least 10 cards. At that point, that's halfway through my deck. If I don't have a solution to what you're throwing out, then you deserve to win that game, hands down. But doing it on turn 6, when you've only drawn 5 cards, and if you went first, that means that 8 cards out of your 30 cards you've seen. So at least 22 cards in your deck that never even get seen, unless you have like some insane draw mechanic. And I think that's the problem. Now, I think Quest Rogue, I like the concept, but they have to completely sell out to make Quest Rogue work, which means that, if you take away that charge mechanic, you've already given them this. That's the thing. You have already let this happen. You've given them this, and now you've got a group of players that like it. I don't feel like it's right to take it away from them now. That being said, the one extra bounce back, I don't know if that's as big a deal right away as people say it is. And I think that the smarter Quest Rogue players, the truly skilled Quest Rogue players, I think will be able to play around it if they want to. So now it's the question of, do they want to? Or has the appeal of the deck, because you have to work harder and it lasts another 3 or 4 minutes, is the appeal of that deck now gone? Now that it's a 15-minute deck instead of a 10-minute deck, what does that do to the appeal of driving the deck on the ladder? Because over the course of an hour, you are now playing 2 less games in an hour. Do you see where it all where my argument all kind of lies in?
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think the 5th bounce back is more impactful than you believe. And the main reason is in Quest Rogue, there are customarily only 6 bounce back effects. And I'm not counting Vanish, because if you have to wait to get to Vanish, you're either using your prep to use Vanish as part of your combo, or you're in turn 6. And so I don't really count Vanish so much. I'm counting the Brewmaster, the Ferryman's, and the Shadow Steps.
Right.
Obviously, to accomplish the effect now, you really only need 2 of those, which is a third of the bounce back effects in your deck, because you have 2 copies of the card and then you bounce it back twice.
Right.
So then you accomplish the quest. The fact that you need to actually now draw at least half of your bounce back effects with 2 copies of the same card, or get a Mimic Pod,
right,
or get 4 of your bounce back effects, then it will definitely push it out at least 1 turn, maybe 2.
Right.
My thing is, and this isn't a popular opinion, while I'm okay with the nerf, I'm okay that they've changed it. I think they could have done it in a different way. I have no problem with Quest Rogue in its current incarnation. I looked at my stats over the last 2 months, and I'm sitting at a 78% win rate against Rogue. Now, that could be Miracle Rogue. That's obviously Miracle Rogue and Quest Rogue, but I see mainly Quest Rogue.
I'm pulling up my quest tracker, or my deck tracker now. I want to see what my win percentage is against it. But let's talk about the other ways. And I primarily
play Control.
Let's talk about the other ways that this nerf could have gone down.
Well, there is one other thing we don't know yet. The specific text they said is the Caverns Below now reads, quest, play 5 minions with the same name, reward Crystal Core. They're doing a Q&A on Friday. They may have changed Crystal Core. They just haven't put it in the announcement yet. I mean, it's likely going to be the same thing, but they may change it so that all the minions are 4/4s instead of 5/5s. What do you think of that?
I think that would be the nail in the coffin. And I don't think they want to kill Quest Rogue. I think they just want to make it a little more difficult to bring it in line with the other quests. Because
I don't think this will kill Quest Rogue.
I mean, I think we can all agree on one thing, and that is that the Rogue quest is far and away the easiest quest to complete.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, I would say yeah.
It's
That's
not
why
even
I
close.
agree as well.
I mean,
it's not
Warrior's
even
a close. Well, I don't know. Warrior's a close second, depending how you build the Taunt Warrior deck.
Right, but even then, minimum before the Warrior quest gets completed is going to be turn 7, and then you got to cast it. And I mean, and the chances of you completing it in the current meta is a little harder if they're geared towards fixing it. But let's look at the other way they could have nerfed it. Shadow Step. They could have taken away the mana reduction on the creature that you pop back into your hand. I think
that or made Shadow Step 1 mana.
Right. I think either one of those completely kills this deck.
Yeah.
I think it makes it unplayable.
But I don't think that's the right way to go.
Right, but I'm saying I'm looking at other ways they could have done it. So I'm looking at this from a perspective of why did they target making it one back? I think they want to keep Quest Rogue around, and they have said from the beginning that Quest Rogue is operating exactly as designed.
And in truth, reducing the mana reduction to 1 instead of 2 wouldn't change a thing actually, because
you would have to
patches and Boar would still be able to be bounced back. You wouldn't be able to do Southsea Deckhand.
Right,
so
but
it does,
even
that.
then though, that's still you. If you're going to reduce it, you got to reduce it by 2. You just got to take it away.
Yeah.
There's too many other things it works with. If you're going to do a blanket nerf like that, you got to pretty much take it away.
I also want to point out that B. Bollinger in chat stated that right now in top 200 Legend, like 40% of the decks you're seeing are Quest Rogue.
Yes.
And
now,
that's like, goes back to what Rasika was saying. That's a bit of a bigger issue with, they're just trying to get in as many games as they can to try to climb higher in Legend. And
it's also because Quest Rogue is a very high skill ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you're seeing it in Legend, definitely, because those players are practiced with it enough and have had enough games to pilot it near flawlessly. And as I go up the rank, it is harder to beat Quest Rogue, I will agree. But there are counters to it. I mean, a Dirty Rat can cripple that deck if you get it played right.
Okay, so here is why they have targeted this deck. For those of you that are wondering why Blizzard targeted the deck, and it's what I was going to bring up next. How do you counter Quest Rogue?
With something even faster.
You either have to brace it down, but let's say that you don't want to play aggro. What do the tempo players and what do the control players? How do they counter it?
Well, you have to exhaust them of their means. I mean, as a paladin control player, I basically stall the game, counter heal, and get ready for the big push, and I do a board wipe and basically out tempo them, which is really hard to do.
I was going to say, so how do you survive 30 points of damage in one turn?
Taunts.
Okay, so you have to play a taunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how many taunts in the first 5 rounds in the existing meta that you actively play in your deck? Pretty much Stonehill Defender, right?
Yeah, Stonehill Defender, Wicker Flame Burn Bristle, a second Wicker Frame Burn Bristle from my Stonehill Defender, a third Wicker Frame Burn Bristle from my Stonehill. But that's, you're right.
Let's go back to getting to draw 8 cards, which means you have to mulligan for Stonehill Defender or hope that you draw it in your first 5 draws, or you're just dead.
That's true.
I'm throwing this out there. I'm saying why this was targeted the way it was. So, what has Blizzard, like, one of the reasons they introduced the Hall of Fame is to remove what? Auto include cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to include this card in every deck.
That's the majority of the reason, yeah.
Okay, so if you're a control player and you need to soft counter Quest Rogue but still have enough stuff in your deck to compete against everything else, because let's face it, if you go after Quest Rogue and you try to counter Quest Rogue and you run up against something else, you're going to have a hard time beating it.
It's true.
So now you put in Dirty Rat, and now Dirty Rat is an auto-include. You're putting 2 of them in your deck. Why? Because it can cripple Quest Rogue. So basically, you have put in a craps roll in your deck and hope that you get it in your first 5 draws or in your opening hand, and that is your only hope of beating the deck. That's why they're targeting it, which goes back to what I was saying earlier: the charge and doing it in one turn. But they want to keep it. I think they like the fundamental aspect of it. They just don't want it to happen on turn 5 and 6 consistently. They want it to happen on turn 8 and 9 consistently.
So just so I think we're on the same wavelength, you believe that the best way to resolve the issue with Quest Rogue is to resolve the issue with charge instead of resolve the issue with the quest itself.
Exactly. The problem isn't the quest itself. Getting 4 minions back into your hand, you have to build a deck around that. And as a player who builds a deck around that and who correctly pulls it off should be rewarded for doing so.
So just as a possible solution, going back to what I mentioned before, if they change charge, the entire ability, not just on certain cards, to this minion can attack a minion the turn it comes into play, do you think that gives the opponent enough time for them to put those for Quest Rogue to put the charge minion down, clear their board, but then the opponent has a turn to go, okay, how do I handle this? Whether it's Equality Consecrate or put up other taunts or whatever it might be. Do you think that is a good solution other than changing the quest?
I think for the overall health of Hearthstone as a whole game, I think that is a good solution. I will say that if that occurs, I mean, you've seen the uproar in just bouncing one back to hand. If you remove charge, can you imagine the uproar that would happen now?
Well, look, it would
tremendous.
severely affect what decks. It obviously is going to handle Quest Rogue. Pirate Warrior is going to be affected by it. I don't know if it'd be crippled, because just having another 1/1 on the board that turn is enough impact.
Right.
You have your aggro shaman tends to have some charge, especially with pirate package.
Yeah, but
you also have druid.
Yeah, you haven't seen it as much since Ardent Horse Rider left. Aggro
That's true.
Shaman kind of took a step back with that.
What about things like Alakir, though?
See, Alakir is an 8 casting cost.
But if we change charge across the board, it would affect Alakir.
It would.
He would have to be used as a board clear instead of 10 damage to the face with a Flame Tongue Totem.
You're exactly right. The other way to fix charge, like taunt minions, tend to have a higher casting cost for the same stats as a vanilla minion, right? Well, charge minions, and they tend to have a higher defense. So charge minions tend to have a higher offense, but because of that higher offense, they don't necessarily get a higher casting cost. They just ridiculously lower the defense so that there's a better chance it only hits you once. But that's still hitting you once. It's still allowing you an uninterrupted and no chance to respond damage to the face.
Yeah, Humda in chat says, this would make King Crush so bad if you couldn't go face with it.
Wait, King Crush is already so bad. Can you make it any worse?
I guess the point that I'm trying to make is they are putting a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem.
The bigger problem's charge.
Right. Well, but once again, that problem is because you have created an environment where you value quantity over quality. You have trained everybody to think that a 10-minute game is desirable because if you play a 25-minute game, it's not enjoyable.
So now, has Team 5 and Blizzard trained them, or has the player base, mainly the streamers and pro players, trained them? I mean, who makes the decks and who decides what's important, Blizzard or the players?
How many opportunities have they had a chance to either limit the amount of charge minions in a deck or in any particular set, or modify them in a way where they are not ridiculously impactful?
I think they've done that. I just don't think they've done it enough. I agree with you. But I think in this past set, we haven't had as many charges. Plus, the big impactful charges, I think, like Charged Devilsaur, had restrictions put on them.
Okay, so, and I want to props to Team 5 for not adding charge as a possible adapt. That was a good call.
Huge call.
So,
charge a Wind Fury on any of the double adapt, that would break the game.
So devil's advocate, let's say I'm a player who likes aggro. I like charge minions. Why are you guys targeting charge minions? Why do you have to go after what I like? Why are they not targeting control minions who have ridiculous health and who completely break the game at 10? Why?
That's another good question. I mean,
okay, I'll tell you why. Because by turn 10, you should have an answer. It is unrealistic to expect an answer by turn 3 or 4 unless you give us exciting and interesting choices and a variety of things to put in our decks in those first 5 turns that allow us to combat aggro. Because right now, how do you counter control?
And here's my dilemma on that is,
hold on, let me finish my thought process. Okay. How do you counter control?
How do you rush it?
Aggro.
Yeah.
How do you counter tempo?
Control.
Do you counter tempo with control?
I do, and I win.
How many people counter tempo with control versus how many people counter tempo with aggro?
Oh, I don't know. I know how I counter tempo, and I believe the correct way. It's like paper rock scissors. You know, aggro beats control, control beats mid range, mid range beats aggro.
So I tell you how I counter tempo, and I counter tempo by hitting them in the face and making them clear my minions. I'm just saying that when I played Shaman back when Shaman wasn't good and everybody thought it sucked, when I ran up against another tempo, that's how I beat it. I turned my tempo a little more aggressive and forced them to clear my stuff, and that's why I had,
in my opinion,
that I had with it.
A good tempo player should be able to handle that, because, and that's just my opinion, because that's what tempo does. Tempo trades your minions and has the better value minions, and usually has some form of combination of heal and direct damage to offset your damage.
So I have a confession to make. I gave you a trick question. You actually counter tempo with control or aggro.
Okay.
You can counter control by control, tempo, or aggro. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I mean, again, there's so many variables in your play level plus what deck you're playing. But
let's just say General John Doe off the street.
I don't know. I don't play like General John Doe.
Okay, so the point is, and you're dancing around my question because you know what I'm going to ask you next. How do you counter aggro?
Well, I usually do it with mid range.
And
how do you counter a deck designed to kill you by turn 5?
By killing them on turn 4.
I'm not answering the. You should have prepped me before coming in here to give you the right answers, because I'm obviously I play differently than other people.
And you do, but the point that I'm trying to make is the general consensus is you have 2 counters to control, you have 2 counters to tempo, you have 1 counter to aggro for the most part, because a control deck is not going to beat an aggro deck turn 4. It's just not going to happen. Okay. If the aggro deck draws what it needs, it doesn't play against your deck, it plays itself.
Yeah.
That is true. I mean, an aggro deck benefits more from a nut draw than most other archetypes. I do agree with. I mean, if an aggro deck gets a nut draw, they get a nut draw, and usually a nut draw involves some form of either minion that's put out way earlier than it's supposed to, or set of minions, or charge.
Yeah, and that's why Quest Rogue is targeted. It was. Who's the Overwatch guy, the main guy over Overwatch, the lead designer?
Jeff Kaplan.
Jeff
Kaplan actually posted something on Twitter that I really liked, and it said, this also falls with one of my favorite sayings from the Star Wars movies that I feel like is really true. In Return of the Jedi, Obi-Wan Kenobi says, oftentimes many of the truths we cling to depend greatly upon our own point of view. Well, Kaplan came out this last week and said that sometimes the perception of the meta is actually more important than the metadata itself. So the perception that a hero is strong is sometimes more important than the numbers that you could back that perception up with. You can have all the numbers in the world and come out and say, hey, Zenyatta is overpowered as a healer. He heals too much and deals too much damage at the same time. If that's the way the community feels, it doesn't matter what your numbers back it up with. It doesn't matter what the win percentage is. It doesn't matter when and how he wins or what the team composition around him wins. What matters is what they see as a player. As a community, they see that this character is overpowered. In Hearthstone, if they see a deck, they see it as overpowered. It doesn't. You can throw all the stats at them you want, and they've tried this. You can throw all the stats at the players you want, and you can back it up with numbers so you are blue in the face. But as long as rank 16 player over here is getting pounded in the face by Quest Rogue 4 out of 5 games, he's going to view that deck as oppressive.
All right. Cool. So,
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
No,
I don't think you're wrong at all.
I don't think you're wrong either.
I mean, your perception on some of the metagame to me is not the same as I would, but my view and your view all come to the same consensus that the problem does not seem to be with Quest Rogue specifically in the quest, but with charge minions. I mean, obviously this change is going to impact one deck that's going to impact the meta. Now, this deck at one point was number 1 in Tier 1, and had stuck in Tier 1, slowly going down, and now is towards the bottom of Tier 2 on the pro meta list. We're looking at Vicious Syndicate and a Tempo Storm. So, obviously, before this changes come, the player base has figured out a way to deal with it. Obviously, it's still oppressive and it's a problem, but I think this change only affects that deck, and then all of a sudden the other outliers are going to come up, and you're going to have another deck that's oppressive, and I think you're going to have the same thing in common, and it's going to be they're going to contain charge minions.
Yep. So real quick, the best way to combat this, if you're not willing to change charge to what the charge Devilsaur is, which in my opinion makes for a better Hearthstone, but my opinion doesn't matter in this because I'm not an aggro player. So the aggro player, because ultimately what we want is for the entire community to be healthy and happy and be balanced, right? We want everybody to be able to come into Hearthstone and play the deck that they want to play, how they want to play it.
Yes.
Right. So my fix for this is not necessarily to change charge. If I had my solution and I was
what are we even talking about for the last 20 minutes?
Well, but that is a solution, and
don't
that is
throw the rope-a-dope on me.
No, that's my preferred solution.
Okay.
But
okay.
what I think as a control player is skewed because I'm a control player. So if
Gotcha.
I'm presenting this as Team 5, we're in a business meeting. I'm presenting this in Team 5. How do we fix this without making people angry and without kicking off half the community?
Dumpster fire.
No.
Okay.
I say you change the month end demotions. And this is how I propose you change it. You take legend players and you dump them down to rank 5. All of them. All the legend players, they all dump to rank 5 and they have to fight it out 5-1 to get back into legend, and then they're fighting in legend. You take all the players from 1 to 5 and you dump every single one of them down to 10. And then they have to charge from 10 back up to 1 and try to get into legend. You take the players from rank 5 to 10, you dump them all down to the 15 floor and let them fight to try to get back up there. You take all the players from 10 to 15, you dump them down to 20, you let all them fight to get up there. You're still going to have the same ladder meta because in the end, the way it shakes out, the first week, all the players that are hardcore, aiming for legend, and they are just dying to get there, they're already there anyway. What you're doing is you're dumping people into ranks and rank floors where they are competing against people that they are evenly matched with based on their rank from the last season. So what that does then is because they're evenly matched, it encourages them to win more rather than play more.
All right. I like that solution a lot, but I don't think it addresses the problem. So my solution is that solution and the charge solution all at the same time.
Okay. You see, but because I don't play aggro, I know I can't come at charge with a completely. I can't come at charge unbiased because I don't like it. I think it's an unfair mechanic in Hearthstone. But that comes from my Magic background.
I don't dislike charge. I like charge a lot. I just think the advantage of being able to go face with it is no more than, say, a burn spell. So basically, the one class that actually can burn you really quick without charge minions is Mage, because they have spells and they can set your health at certain points and set your criteria at certain points that they can burn you real fast with spells. They also don't have a lot of the other tools the other classes do in a defensive measure, other than, of course, Ice Block. That's a whole nother discussion. But aside from Ice Block, there's not a huge amount of minion stoppage. Again, there's some secrets, but nothing like the other classes with the taunts and so forth. With the other classes, it's almost like if you give them charge minions that are specifically useful in their class, it's like giving them burn spells that Mage has.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of making charge only be able to attack a minion on the turn it comes into play. Any other turn after that, it can go to face. but that allows, because we don't have interrupts like other classes where you can, or other games where you can actually play a card on your opponent's turn or react on your opponent's turn, then it's best if they made it so charge only goes to minions instead of face. Again, I've never thought of it before until tonight when you kind of brought it up. I think it's a good solution. Charged Devil Sword is actually a very good card. Now, obviously, there are times you can summon it and you can go to face with it, but in a lot of cases, if I've summoned it, I go clear a minion with it because that's what I need at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great. We've had a great discussion on this. I'm pulling the producer card and saying we need to move forward because tonight we have an aggro deck with 13 1-drops in it. So I know everybody's excited.
Once again, kind of on purpose.
Yeah,
it's kind of on, but it's kind of on purpose.
Yeah,
because we didn't want people to think that we're targeting aggro and that we're all aggro haters.
That's right.
I'm not an aggro hater. I mean, I'm not a primary aggro player, but I know in my time in THL, I've used aggro a lot. Sometimes you have to, especially if you play in tournaments.
Yeah.
So I like aggro.
So this week's deck is Elemental Warlock, which is a surprise because you don't hear about a lot of Elemental Warlocks. But I'm going to give this deck the normal rundown, and then I'm going to kind of let Zeroshio talk about the play style of the deck, and then we'll wrap up the audio portion and we'll play some games.
Wait, am I driving or are you driving?
I'm going to drive.
Okay.
This deck list
threw me off.
Yeah, this deck list contains 2 Bloodcell Corsair, 2 Firefly, 2 Malkazar's Imp, 1 Patches the Pirate, 2 Possessed Villagers, 2 Soulfires, 2 Voidwalkers. Then you've got 1 Crazed Alchemist, 1 Darkshire Librarian, 2 Direwolf Alphas, 1 Galaka Crawler, 2 Darkshire Councilmen, 2 Tar Creepers, 2 Fireplume Phoenix, 2 Ravenous Pterodax, 2 Doomguard, and then, as Versico likes to say, 2 Blaze Ballers.
That's right.
Zeroshio, tell us your thoughts on this deck.
When I first saw this deck, and my very first golden hero was Warlock, using Zoo Warlock. I love Zoo Warlock. I saw this deck and went, well, this is clearly a form of Zoo Warlock. And I saw kind of the top heaviness and the elemental package, and I went, this is a bad Zoo Warlock. You're not going to have the tempo that you did when Zoo was in its heyday. And that's one of the reasons Zoo's having trouble right now. However, I started playing this deck, and I realized I was horribly, horribly wrong. Firefly really gives you a huge amount of tempo, and having those early minions and flooding the board with early minions with possessed villagers and fireflies and Malkazar's Imp that are sticky, either returning with another minion or having a bigger body, you get a lot of value out of Ravenous Pterodax. And Ravenous Pterodax is the MVP of this deck. I only had an activated Blazecaller once, and it did win me the game. But Ravenous Pterodax won me more games than any card in this deck. Because you can get the double adapt value off of it. Getting something like Wind Fury and Divine Shield, or Wind Fury Stealth, or extra attack in Stealth or Divine Shield, really sets you up for the next turn with some good burst damage with, like, say, a Doomcaller, or in one case I had a Soulfire with Malkazar's Imp out into a Doomcaller, or Doomguard, for the extra charge damage. It's just a really solid deck. Now, I would recommend getting your minions out quickly and mulliganing for the small ones, but in a lot of cases, I lost games where I put 2 Firefly out, a Firefly and the Flame Elemental out in one turn. We usually want to put a Firefly out and then save the Flame Elemental for when you think you're going to get Blazecaller value. But I ended up running 68% with the deck. Not a huge sample size. I think I had 16 games, 17 games. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I can't wait to play it tonight.
Awesome. All right, awesome. So I know I only got a few games in with it. Very few. I've been really busy. We got confirmation we have to start packing, so we're gonna my family is gonna be moving soon, and
This was not the list I saw.
this is the list.
The list.
Listed,
No,
so-
because the list that I saw didn't have Doom Guards. It had the other elemental that gives you
Oh,
an elemental when it was summoned.
gotcha. I'm not sure.
So I actually, when I played this, I didn't play with Doom Guard. So I saved my Soul Fires as burn damage at the end because they weren't expecting you to have Soul Fire in your deck. So.
This deck list I got from our patron Matt at Arms.
Okay,
So,
because hold on, I've got it saved. Yeah, that's what it was. It didn't have Doom Call. It didn't have Doom Guards and had the 5 casting cost elemental. I can't read it. It's fuzzy on my screen. But
The Servant of Calamos.
yeah, it had Servant of Calamos, which by the way, in this deck, oftentimes will pull a Blaze Caller.
yeah.
Just a heads up.
Yeah.
So if Doom Guard is not your style and you don't want to be discarding cards, the Servant of Calamos is a very good card to interact with Firefly to give you another elemental to activate Blaze Caller later.
That's really good.
I might try it with that in it too, but I do like the Doom Guard version because it does give you some good burst.
Yeah.
Well, I won 4 out of 4, so.
Excellent. So
Nice.
all right. Well,
Without Doom Guard.
I'm ready to check this deck out. Like I said, I only got a few games in with it, so you guys are going to have to help me decide on plays as we go. So, all right. Any last minute thoughts about anything we've talked about today? Zeroshio?
Schedule your lunch breaks, your work breaks, or call a day off. Whatever you got to do to watch the reveal or the Q&A, which is entitled Journey to Ngoro and Balance Changes. I have a feeling the Journey to Ngoro part might change. We might actually get a set reveal. Who knows? If they do, I think they'll do it at the very end. But I think it's kind of funny they're calling it Journey to Ngoro Q&A when they already had a Journey to Ngoro Q&A. So yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. We might get some. So if you are a internet sleuth like I am, start doing your DNS queries and your domain checks Friday morning.
All right. Versika, any last minute thoughts on anything we talked about today?
Yeah, there was actually something in our Discord because I guess the Twitch chat wasn't working for one of our listeners, Matt at Arms. He actually calls you out and says, at Avantes, if they nerf charge, they should remove the ability for Fireball to go face. So I actually disagree with that, but I will write it up in a blog post and put that out there.
Okay.
And that was mainly for my whole feeling to make Mage unique.
Exactly.
Okay.
To make
that's
the
my thought on it.
spellcasters unique.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, we had so much to talk about today. We knew it was going to take a while. We actually had more to talk about. Seat Story Cup, HGG highlights, this week's Tavern Brawl. Unfortunately, we had to make the tough decision to clip that. I am still going to post all of that information in our show notes. So when this episode goes up on our website tomorrow morning, that's heropowerhs.com, you can actually click into the post and see all of that information that we were going to share with you guys before we had to cut it out. So,
and I'm going to interrupt you real quick. Esports was good. Tavern Brawl's fun. Play Druid with Jade Idol. Win. Okay, it's done.
All right, guys. So, if you're joining us on Twitch or YouTube, please stay tuned for the live play portion of our show. If you are listening via our audio podcast, we'd like to thank you for joining us at this time. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at HeroPower_cast. You can find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/ECMMOgamers. If you would like to join our Discord community, you can do that by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/HeroPower. And you can also now subscribe to Hero Power using Twitch Prime through Twitch itself. So that's new. We're excited. And again, we thank all of you for making that possible. We'll see you again next week.
And don't forget to subscribe to Hero Power.
All right.
Ad-libbing.
Oh,
All right.
that was so good and so bad at the same time.
Well, while we're setting up to play this deck, Zeroshio, tell us a little more about our friends at Viforce.
Okay, so I've pretty much sold you on the computer. You know where to go. Go to ViforceGaming.com to get your quote. You can go to HeroPowerHS.com, click on the Viforce link. It'll take you there. If you aren't willing to go to the website at this point, I don't know what else I can tell you. But if the only reason you're not going is because I just don't have the money, well, they do financing. They do zero interest financing for 6 months. I did it myself. I've almost paid off my machine, and I don't have to pay it off through my PayPal credit until November 27th. So if I can do it, you can do it. Go to ViforceGaming.com or HeroPowerHS.com and click on the Viforce link.
All right. Well, let's play some Elemental Warlock, guys. So I am searching for an opponent. Yeah, Inked in chat says Tavern Brawl, play patches, get Phil bored with patches, go face.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about patches. Oh!
You know what I did? Just because I wanted to punish the players who took the cheap way out, I actually got my first Tavern Brawl win today using Rogue with Fan of Knives.
Oh,
No, the better one I'm seeing is Shaman with Maelstrom Portal.
really? Because
You get a 1-mana minion every turn you do it.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of Hunter with Explosive Trap.
I'll be doing that, and I'll be trolling it just to beat down the players that are doing the patches.
All
The
right,
Jade Idol Druid beats all those.
So our opening hand is Bloodcell Corsair, Tar Creeper, and Darkshire Councilman. And we do not have the coin. And we're playing against a Hunter. So what do you guys think? What are we looking for in our opening hand?
Against Hunter, Tar Creeper is huge. And Bloodcell Corsair is good, but it's usually not good before turn 3.
Okay.
I would
Yeah, but
keep
you
the
are
Tar-
going to get patches.
You
will get patches.
Yeah.
You could keep Bloodcell.
I would keep Bloodcell and Tar Creeper.
Yeah. There's merit in that. I like that.
Okay. So we throw back the Councilman and get our second Tar Creeper.
Not the greatest, but not the worst.
And we top deck Blaze Caller.
And I wouldn't do anything but pass the turn here.
Yep.
Okay.
Hopefully we get a McCall this turn, and we can patches it down.
Okay. There's the Macaw.
Looky.
You're seeing that more than Alley Cat first turn lately.
So Corsair here.
Yeah, I mean the chances are, even if he's running Eaglehorn Bow, he's going to use it to clear.
That's true, and we have another Corsair in here. So
Yeah.
Golden Patches, what a jerk!
He slobbers all over himself.
That's right.
It's like watching Zeroshio eat.
Yeah.
That's right. Eat anything. That's right. So true. Wow. Coined out Animal Companion. That's kind of. I mean, that sets right up, and Tar Creeper is a good counter to that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tar Creeper here. I think he was wanting Huffer, and I think he's going for the face plan, which is why he coined it out.
Yep.
Crackling Razor Maw. So he is adapting Misha to a 7 health minion. And Timberwolf.
Yeah, and then Timberwolf. Wow.
That is what you
He is-
call. Oh, look at that top deck. So,
Yeah, what do you think? Imp first, of course, right?
Yeah.
Imp into Soulfire.
Imp into
Yep.
Soulfire.
and then run our Corsair into the Timberwolf.
Yep. And then I think we draw a card, don't you?
I think we draw a card.
Yes, and
you want to draw a card? You get to draw a card, and you get to draw a card, and you get to draw a card.
And tapping last was not bad in that turn because we were going to discard something. We didn't want to draw into one of our
was
big
that explanation for Fred over at Hearth Coach?
Yes. Yes, it was.
All right.
Ooh.
So, do we run in the Corsair and Fireplume Phoenix to kill off the Razor Maw?
Yeah, I mean, I like good weak targets for Ravenous Pterodax, but I think that's the right play. It does leave us kind of weak on the board to the Houndmaster, though. But I don't think we have a better play.
It's a 3/3. It trades.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rasika?
I don't think we have a great play this turn.
No.
So
the other play would be Councilman Galaka Crawler to eat our Corsair, making a 3/4 and a 2/6 or a 2/5.
But
that's the same boat, though.
I like the plume better. I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't like it at all, but it is the best play we have.
Okay.
So he doesn't have a beast activator, which is good for us. I think if he has the Eagle Horn bow, this is when it comes out. Wow, Raptor Hatchling. That is that's interesting. It kind of has gotten out of the meta lately. Makes me wonder what this deck is.
I think he's just going to go face.
I think this deck is just a face deck to counter Questrogue.
All right. So now we have 6 mana, a 3/3 on the board, and some interesting answers.
I don't see us getting Galaka Crawler value, and I'm wondering if we shouldn't just kill off the Houndmaster and then Galaka and eat it with our Pterodax.
I like that a lot.
So, Galaka into Pterodax?
Eat the Galaka, yeah. Eat the Galaka with the Pterodax.
Alright, so our first options are Stealth, Death Rattle Plants, or Can't Be Targeted.
I think the Liquid Membrane and the Stealth is about the same against
I like the Living Spores.
I like Living Spores too. Let's go Living Spores.
Divine Shield.
Hopefully we get Divine Shield.
Fury.
Divine Shield.
Divine Shield. And then quickly clear the 4/3. There we go. I like that. That makes him have to use 2, maybe 3 resources just to deal with that Pterodax, counting the 1/1s. Well, if he ran that in first, he can't kill command it.
Or he can.
Oh, he can, but he doesn't kill it. He didn't realize.
Unless he's using 2
His
kill
beast
commands.
is gone.
Oh, there's that didn't quite hit the mark.
Do it. Wah.
So, he just played Thunder Lizard. If you played an Elemental last turn, adapt. So, he did not get to adapt. So, do we unload here with Darkshire, Malkazar, Direwolf Alpha and start applying pressure?
I think we do.
So many possibilities.
My Skype's acting up, so I'm getting into
Mine too.
Okay. Versika, do you think that's the play?
I think Councilman. I like Councilman, Direwolf Alpha, draw, use the Pterodax to clear.
To clear?
Yep.
Yeah, I would clear with the Pterodax because it's a beast. And he's already used 1 kill command.
And we just drew the Firefly, so we can Firefly Blazecaller next turn.
Yes, if we would have tapped first, we might have changed our play a little bit.
Turn after that.
No, I don't think we would have changed the play.
Okay. Good answer.
I'll tell you why.
I mean, we would have been able to set up for Blaze Color, but I didn't see a reason to set up for Blaze Color, to be honest.
Oh, Unleash the Hounds. So he's going to
It's
clear
not
the
a very good
spores.
Unleash value
He
because we're not close enough to lethal.
Right, but he can clear the spores and the wolf.
Yeah, that's fine, but we already got the spores value off the Darkshire Councilman anyways.
Right. And he still has 4 mana left this turn. Sorry about hero power.
Yeah. And he's running low on resources. Ooh, that is so good.
Oh man, I'm having serious bandwidth issues.
Okay, so we top decked the Darkshire Councilman. So we're going to play it.
And the imp and the firefly.
Correct.
Yeah. Are we going to save the Flame Elemental, or do we plan to Blaze Caller next turn anyways?
We plan to Blaze Caller next turn anyway, but I would still tap.
Well, we can still play the Flame Element.
Yeah.
Right, and just see what we get.
Yeah, we top decked
That's
the Darkshire Librarian.
That's actually not bad.
But there's still another Blaze Caller in the deck. I'd say wait
Hold the Flame
and
Elemental
hold off
for
the
that.
Flame Elemental so that we can have a Blaze Caller activator.
Okay. I went face with the 7/5.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to lose that value. A trade would be good, but we don't. That's 5 wasted value.
So he's playing Jeweled Macaw.
Good lord.
He's really behind. Nesting Rock.
Into Nesting Rock.
Which we
we'll-
have an answer to next
we can
Nesting
clear.
Rock.
So just a heads up to all the listeners, my Twitch is really acting up.
Yeah.
So I had to turn on the Do Not Disturb mode, and my Twitch chat has died. So I am exclusively just watching the Skype.
All right. So we just drew Possessed Villager. And the Blaze Caller is active. He has a 1/1 and a 4/7 taunt. So I think we run the 7/2 into the 4/7 to clear.
Yeah.
We kill the Macaw with the 1/2 elemental, and then play
Blaze Caller face.
play the Villager, play the Blaze Caller face, and then go face with everything else.
Yeah.
Hold on, wait.
Oh, wait.
So that 7 damage over time is going to be huge. The 5 damage is only dealt once.
Okay, so do you?
So
wanna...
why not Blaze Caller into the rock?
Okay,
Clear it with the other councilman, the healthy councilman.
Okay, the 4/5.
Yeah.
Then,
Clear the 1/1 with the 1/2.
And then face.
Play the possessed villager and then face with everything else.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, like a glove. Well, that was tight.
Yeah, I've completely lost Twitch.
B. Bollinger,
So-
if you become a patron, if you become a $5 patron now, the next tournament will take place in early August, and you
Yep.
would then be eligible for that event immediately. So
Yes.
So this is game over. We have lethal on the board.
Yeah, we do.
Clear the 5/4 with the 5/1.
He knows it.
all right.
He can do his math.
I'm gonna try and relaunch my Twitch
Okay.
while you're.
Yeah, I'm having issues too, but it seemed to be with both Skype and Twitch.
Gotcha.
My Skype was streaking real bad, but the rest of my computer's running great. Everything else on my network's running great. Because I have a Viforce computer.
Yeah, it's definitely not my computer
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
everything else is running fine.
I'm actually not having any issues this evening. I'm showing 0 dropped frames thus far. So.
And we are getting some mentions from our community in Discord, for our patron Discord, that they are having some Twitch chat issues as well.
So,
Okay.
So-
No, it's not just
Bollinger,
us.
the initial invites to guarantee you a spot in the tournament, it is $5 and up only. If we have 8 $5 patrons, then that's how the tournament will run. If we only have 7, then we would open it up to other patrons, and it would be first come, first serve. So, to guarantee a spot, it's $5. You can become a patron for $1 to get access to the Discord and have a chance to get in, but it's not guaranteed.
I'd
So,
keep one Direwolf Alpha and the Malchazar's Imp here.
throw back the Doom Guard and the second Direwolf because we do have the have the coin and we're playing against a priest.
Yeah, with as many 1-drops as we have, 2 Direwolves is kind of clunky.
I was muted.
Well, I
was muted.
I hope you didn't.
I was saying that I agree 100%.
Okay, good.
Gotcha.
So
We knew.
What do you think about Malchazar's Imp here into Darkshire Librarian next turn?
I like that because it doesn't play into any really bad Potion of Madness plays. Because Possessed Villager commonly is taken, ran into a minion, so they get a 1/1.
Correct.
Worst case, if we put out Darkshire Librarian, we'll lose our Malchazar's Imp. That's it.
So they're going to Shadow Visions on turn 2.
Naturally, for Potion of Madness.
Okay.
Right.
So, now, do we continue with the Darkshire Librarian play, or do we coin out the Tar Creeper?
Well, the safe play is actually putting out Direwolf Alpha.
And attacking.
Because
base.
with Potion of Madness, he can't do anything. Because he'll take a 1/3 and can't kill the Direwolf Alpha, or he'll take a 2/2 and can't kill the 1/3.
What do you think, Rasika?
I'm down with that play.
Okay.
With the Tar Creeper, he could take the Malchazar's Imp and kill it off of the Tar Creeper.
There's a Shadow Word Pain created by the Shadow
What
Vision.
he's Shadow Vision for, which is actually not terrible.
So now, I think we go with the Possessed Villager into Darkshire Librarian, or do we Darkshire and see if we, pitch? So it wouldn't be bad to pitch the Possessed Villager.
No, it wouldn't be bad.
So I think that's what we'll do. We'll play that first and see which.
That's the best thing we could have discarded.
That is the best thing we could have discarded.
I agree.
And then I say we put out the Possessed Villager and set up for a Fire Plume Phoenix next turn.
Yeah.
Okay, I would have actually kept the Possessed Villager because that's the next thing in my hand I would want to pitch. Because
I guess you're right.
You're gonna want to put
Yeah.
Doomguard on the table.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that.
Okay. So do we hold the Firefly for that and play the Fire Plume just like we planned? Go face with everything?
So. Yep.
Yeah, go wide.
Make him have to Holy Nova.
Well, Holy Nova doesn't really do much. I mean, it gets rid of half the damage on the board only.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, it cuts. He's taking 8 currently. It'll cut him down to 4.
And Holy Nova is usually, if it's Ranon Dragon Priest, and that's what it looks like it says, maybe a one-of. Sometimes they don't even run it at all. They run double Dragon Fire Potion. Because they want to limit how many things they get off their Shadow Vision.
So Doomguard here means we're representing 13 points of damage on the board.
Yeah. I think we Doomguard just go face. You might want to clear the 1/3 with the Fire Plume, or actually I'd do it with the Darkshire Councilman or Librarian.
Yeah.
That gets us around some shenanigans with if there is an inner fire combo. Best discard ever.
All right, so he's at 12.
Dragon Fire
Potion, which does not kill the.
It does not. Okay. So we can have lethal if we 50-50 this. We would have to tap first.
Tap first.
Soul Fire into Soul Fire. Can we do it?
We do it!
We did it! Yes! Now that's a Pavel play right there.
All right, Bollinger, thank you so much for the support. I will reach out to you after the show tonight, and with all the information.
Discord. Yeah, Discord, Facebook.
So thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. All right, so
Give
guys,
us a shout out next week. Official
2 wins 2-0, just like that, with Elemental Warlock. Why?
I love
Because
this deck.
nobody's expecting it.
I love this deck.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It can go really quick, as you just saw. Helps to draw if you end up in a situation like we just did, where you have to 50-50, not pitching a card. So it's a lot of fun. Go check it out. You can find the deck list and the deck code on our website at heropowerhs.com. So, guys, any last things you want to say, maybe about the deck or anything else? Versika, we'll start with you this time.
It's an aggro deck. Play it like an aggro deck. Well, but I mean, you know, when we were talking about it at the beginning, I said I was saving my soul fires to administer the killing blow. You just saw why that's important.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that's don't waste. Use your creatures to clear. Save soul fire for the last thing you do.
All right. Zeroshia, what do you got?
It's an aggro deck. Play it like an aggro deck. No, I love Zoo. I've been playing it a long time. I took a break when it really started to suffer because of the meta changing around it. I'm glad I found a Zoo that I like again because I'm going to get back to it.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it for us this week. This was an aggro show. Play it like an aggro show. Enjoy it.
Oh, so one more thing about the Tavern Brawl. We were talking about automatic concedes. If you're a rogue and you start the game by throwing out a hallucination, they will concede every time.
Okay.
I have yet to make it past turn 1 with hallucination.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. And please send us an email this week with your suggestion for what our Twitch emote should be.
Yes.
Do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you haven't done so already. Hit that subscribe button on Twitch if you haven't done so already. Be alerted to when we go live.
Definitely follow us.
And definitely follow us if you haven't already. And for more details on our Discord or the Hero Power Patron Tournament, you can find all of that information at patreon.com/heropower. And until next week, guys, good gaming.
Bye, guys.